Welcome back everyone. LBC's Nick Ferrari was joined by Reform Party leader Nigel Farage, answering all sorts of questions regarding immigration, Trump and Palestine. Now what Nigel seems to have forgotten is the Muslim population makes quite a chunk of the voters and plays a pivotal role in the elections. Isolating Muslims by applying double standards, as we're about to see, only damages the party. He can laugh all he wants, but I don't think he's quite thought this through. Let's take a look.
Chris is in Richmond. Chris, you're through to Nigel Farage. Morning.
Morning, Nigel. Morning, Nick.
Morning.
Nigel, are you prepared to unequivocally condemn Donald Trump's remarks yesterday suggesting that Sadiq Khan wanted to impose Sharia law in London? Yes or no, please?
He didn't say Sadiq Khan wanted to impose Sharia law in London, and he was very careful.
Let Mr. Farage, I will come back.
I listened to that, and he said it very carefully, but on his... By the way, very important, Chris, with Trump, never take what he says literally, ever. On anything, but always take everything he says seriously. And these comments on...
Explain the distinction there, then.
So he makes a comment, and you might disagree with the tone, you might disagree with the context, you might disagree with the number that he puts out, but you'll find that what he has to say has a point. My last understanding, Chris, there were 85 Sharia courts operating in this country at some level.
Civil level, by the way.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. But operating at some level in this country. So is he right to say that Sharia is an issue in London? Yes. Is it an overwhelming issue at this stage? No. Has the Mayor of London directly linked himself to it? No.
Is the Mayor of London doing as bad a job as President Trump asserts?
Oh, shocking.
The Sharia law is only in civil cases, you know that.
I know it is.
Do you have concerns, then, that it would expand in some fashion?
I have concerns. There are people living in Britain who would like for their culture to become our culture as opposed to the other way around, Nick. Yes, of course.
But Jewish people have their own civil
Yes, they do, and that's worked beautifully. And when have you ever seen the Jewish community trying to impose their will on us? They've had their own private observance, their own private way of doing things, but never any attempt to impose it upon everybody else. And the difference at the extreme ends of this, and you know this very, very well, is there are extreme ends of this that want us to become a country that follows their customs.
And where do you see that? Give me an example where that's been demonstrated recently. I'm assuming you're talking about...
I've met taxi drivers that have told me that. I've met taxi drivers that have told me, we will have Sharia law in Britain, you will live by our rules.
How do you respond when a taxi driver tells you that?
With shock.
And is that in London?
Horror.
Is that in London?
No, I actually first met that up in Buckinghamshire somewhere.
Right, because I know you visited northern cities as well, such as...
Yeah, I have.
Bradford, you have concerns there?
I have deep concerns.
So is this something you hear regularly? Because obviously the position you're in, you're an extremely recognisable politician.
Yeah.
People are going to give you the benefit of their views, some positive, some negative.
Well, they do.
Some positive, some negative. So people regularly say to you, we will have Sharia law whether you like it.
Not regularly, but it has happened over the years, and there are people who think their way of life is better than our way of life and that we should adjust to them.
And how much does that drive your own political positioning?
I think it's very frightening. And I think what Trump was aiming at with his big pitch, that the West's going to hell, is it's in danger of losing its culture, its heritage, its identity. It's in danger of losing everything that it ever stood for.
Is Europe going to hell?
I think you can see it everywhere. Look at Stockholm. Look at parts of Germany. Look at what the mass importation of people who come from very different cultures has done to those cities.
How is it an issue in London when people are using the service voluntarily, which causes no harm to any other person? Nick points out that Jews also have their own courts. Nigel then goes on to say that Jewish courts work beautifully. How does one work beautifully yet the other one doesn't, when they both operate in a very similar manner, dealing with very similar issues if not the same? This guy hasn't got a clue. He then says there's never any attempt to impose it upon anyone else. What about Israel's genocide in Gaza? They've imposed that very well for 2 years, imposed themselves as a victim when they themselves were the perpetrators, imposing themselves as a little child getting bullied when in fact they were the ones doing the bullying. Don't make me laugh, Nigel.
Sarah in Birmingham, you're through to Nigel Farage. Go ahead.
Hi, Nigel. The UK support a two-state solution. However, the Israeli government, as well as Hamas, do not. Therefore, if your dream came true of becoming the next Prime Minister, what would your solution be for achieving peace between Palestine and the Middle East and Israel?
I'm pleased you've asked that. You can't recognise a Palestinian state until you recognise some boundaries that it would have. And Gaza, that clearly isn't.
The Montevideo Convention, by the way, of 1933.
And actually, Sarah, there's a very interesting idea. There is a piece of land between the Red Sea and the Dead Sea. It is totally unoccupied desert. It's partly part of Jordan, but Jordan derives no benefit from it whatsoever. If you could designate that as a piece of land that could be turned into a homeland, a country, with major canals and irrigation linking to the sea. And if you had a group of Palestinian people who were not led by terrorists, who were not intent on the destruction of Israel and its people, then I think you could start to have a sensible debate about creating a Palestinian homeland. Right at the moment, and by the way, you can criticize Netanyahu, you can criticize Israel as much as you like, but you cannot recognize something that doesn't have a geography and is led by terrorists.
How would that barren land be generated? The cost of that would be phenomenal.
Listen, you could argue the cost would be phenomenal, but equally you could argue that the longer-term economic benefits that came from it would be phenomenal too. Think of places out of a desert like Palm Springs in America. You can do these things. But so geography is important, but equally you can't recognize a state, a group of people who are currently being led by Hamas, a terrorist organization intent on the destruction of Israel.
Nigel says you can't recognize a Palestinian state until you recognize some boundaries. Before 1947, there was no Israel, it was all Palestine. The Nakba happened and a portion of Palestine was violently taken. This is the leader of the Reform Party suggesting the removal of the Palestinians and putting them into a desert which is owned by another country, incriminating himself for ethnic cleansing and also suggesting an illegal settlement on lands owned by another country. This guy clearly is lacking some brain cells. And what happens, Mr. Farage, to Gaza when you ethnically cleanse a people into the desert? Of course it becomes Israel, fulfilling the greater Israel promise. This guy's a loser, just another Israeli mouthpiece who's going to say what he needs to say to get some recognition. We need some proper leaders and he isn't one. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Support me by liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all on the next video. Peace out.